Hey, what's going on, Guardians? TBL here, and I hope all of you had yourselves a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful holiday. I dearly hope you got to spend it with those you love, doing what you want. But now that Christmas is over, it's time to get back to work, and I wanted to make a video on something I've kind of been avoiding for the past week or so, and that is the concept of leaks towards the future of Destiny 2. Now, if you've been watching any Destiny 2 channels out there on YouTube, you've no doubt seen some of the speculation videos about the upcoming spring DLC pack. Stories about this have been absolutely everywhere over the Destiny community for the past week or so. So in this video, we're going to talk about what's concrete, what's sort of a rumor, what's possibly coming, and what's just a whisper in the wind right now. So let's go ahead and get started. First things first, the spring DLC is supposedly titled Gods of Mars. Now this is actually coming from an older leak that we actually covered here on the channel a few months back. Back in September, right when Destiny 2 first came out, there were a few data mines and bits of information that came out that really not too many people paid attention to. But one that stood out was a picture from the Japanese PSN page, reportedly showing the purchase page for the season pass for Destiny 2, which normally would show the main game as well as the symbols for the two DLC packs, DLC Pack 1 and DLC Pack 2. But on the US version of this page, it didn't say the names of those DLC packs. Apparently on the Japanese version of the PSN page, it did say the names Curse of Osiris and, for the second DLC, the Gods of Mars. Meaning that could potentially be the title and direction we'll be going in with Destiny DLC Pack 2 due out in the spring of 2018. Now, like I said, this originally didn't get too much play back in September when this leak first dropped. It came out a few days after Destiny 2 had just come out. It got buried. A couple of people took notice of it and, thought, oh, it could be fake, it could be real. Now that we know that, of course, DLC Pack 1 is the Curse of Osiris, it lends a little bit more credence to the name Gods of Mars, possibly being the official title for DLC Pack 2. And given the way it kind of lines up with the lore, we know about Clovis Bray, the Bray Institute, their work on Mars, their experiments, and the Guardian we see in the picture possibly being Anna Bray that's linked to in the lore and whatnot that we know about the game right now. I think it's fairly likely that this could possibly be something we'll be dealing with in the future. And initially, that's all this leak was. We just basically had this image possibly hinting at the name of the upcoming DLC and confirming that we might be going to the icy caps of Mars. There are, of course, plenty of references to Mars within the base game of Destiny 2. One of my favorite adventures, the Arecibo adventure on Io, very heavily hints towards the activity of a war mind and our Guardians returning to Mars to deal with an uprising, a disturbance, possibly even something SIVA related that could be going on there. Now, whether or not that warmind is Rasputin or the legendary Charlemagne. If you'll remember way back in Destiny 1, one of the warminds, Charlemagne, had an activity that was going to be in the original Destiny called Charlemagne's Vault. It was going to be a raid or some kind of crazy activity that never wound up really sort of panning out, and that could have something to do with what's going to be going on in DLC Pack 2. But like I said, that was it for the initial leak. It was just these images coming from PSN that really couldn't be verified one way or another. Well, this story has actually evolved a little bit, at least in the last couple of hours, as we've gotten some reports, of course, unconfirmed right now. All of this stuff is speculation, all of this stuff is rumor, but we're talking about potential leaked information, so we're gonna go all in with this stuff. A few Reddit posts were made within the past couple of hours that were quickly deleted that reportedly sourced information, descriptions from the Japanese PSN store concerning the DLC Pack 2, again tentatively titled Gods of Mars, at least according to this leak. Then this is what those Reddit posts had to say. Destiny 2 Expansion 2, Gods of Mars, send your Guardian out to Mars's Clovis Grove, a brand new destination that is host to an array of brand new missions and adventures. Work alongside the elusive Anna Bray in order to prevent Charlemagne, Matrix of Corruption, from amassing an army of SIVA-enhanced weaponized frames before Mars is lost. And here are the features. You can explore Mars's Clovis Grove and uncover Charlemagne's vault underneath the frozen wastes. There's also new story missions and adventures, new themed weapons, armor, and gear to uncover, new cooperative activities, new competitive multiplayer arenas, new frame and nanite enemy factions, and more. And then it just goes on to the usual PlayStation stuff, talking about like online features, your minimum space required, and stuff like that. So really not too much there, but it's laid out basically in the same way a general DLC pack would be for any other PSN game. And it does touch on a few things of interest there. First, they talk about Anna Bray. That's someone who is very likely to have something to do with the upcoming DLC. It's very likely she's the Guardian we see in that poster there. And of course, the notion of us returning to Mars for the DLC, I do believe is a very likely possibility. After all, on that same poster with Anna Bray, we see a picture of what looks like Phobos in the background. And the icy caps of Mars have definitely been referenced several times throughout Destiny 2. So it's certainly possible that all of this stuff could be real. I think it's very interesting that they talk about two new enemy factions in the Frame and the Nanite enemy factions. This could have something to do with the reoccurrence, the re-rising, the resurgence of SIVA within the game's story. After all, the main description from this does say that the Matrix of Corruption, Charlemagne, is amassing an army of SIVA-enhanced weaponized frames from before Mars is lost. Now, if you don't know, if you look around the tower, you'll probably have seen a ton of frames, like Little Sweeper Bot, who is the raid vendor, the Postmaster, any of the guard bots that you've seen around the tower. Those are frames. And the notion of utilizing SIVA-enhanced militarized frames is certainly an interesting one, but it's actually not a new one. This has happened before in the history of Destiny. As a matter of fact, Rasputin, the warmind we all know and, well, sometimes love, has actually utilized SIVA-enhanced frames for warfare. He utilized those to basically kill off the Iron Lords who entered the Forge. So again, the notion of a warmind, either for good or for ill, utilizing SIVA-enhanced constructs like frames for warfare, it's definitely not something new, and it's definitely something I could see happening with a corrupted warmind like Charlemagne. So there's certainly some very interesting story possibilities there. I don't really think it adds too much legitimacy to whether or not this particular leak is true, but it's certainly something that could happen within the context of the Destiny 2 world. So, assuming this is grounded in reality, we could indeed be returning to Mars, heading to some new places in the ice caps of Mars, dealing with characters from Destiny lore like Anna Bray, Rasputin, and Charlemagne, getting 2 new enemy types and frames and whatever the Nanite enemy faction is going to be, and of course the other standard stuff for your DLC. New multiplayer, new strikes, new things like that. And that pretty much encompasses everything we know right now about this potential leak for the second DLC for Destiny 2. Now, after a lot of this stuff came out, a second image wound up surfacing on the internet. Twitter user HalfCubed recently shared an image of the Indonesian PlayStation Store featuring the Destiny 2 Expansion Pass. Curse of Osiris was, of course, listed as Expansion 1, while Expansion 2 was titled Gods of Mars, exactly what the previous leak and even this description leak had been saying. So, with 2 different image sources and this possible PSN description talking all about the same thing, it looks like this could just have some relevancy after all. But hey, this is just a rumor video. Whether or not it winds up being true right now is completely up in the air. But it is fair to say that it is about time that Bungie started shilling out information for their new DLC. It is supposed to be coming in the spring, and that's just a few months away. But alright Guardians, that's pretty much everything we know about this potential leak for Destiny 2 DLC Pack number 2, Gods of Mars. I think it sounds interesting. Most of the information presented here does line up with things we've already learned about in the game and with hints for where we're going in the future, so it could have some legitimacy, but we'll see. What do you Guardians think? Be sure to let us know down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on all of the latest Destiny 2 news, information, videos, guides, and even rumor mill vids like this. But alright, I'm out for now. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.